Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Technology Evangelist podcast. I'm Dr. John Fluke, Technology Evangelist, and we are brought to you by Medidenta. You can find them at medidenta.com. They are a direct distributor that sells all kinds of incredible projects. They've got a complete hygiene line, other stuff too. They sell great packed dent rodent resins for 3D printing, so be sure to check them out. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. So please patronize them. And of course, the standard, I want to beg you for likes, subscribes, and comments. It feeds the algorithm and helps more people find us. So thank you for doing that. And now on with the show. Today, I have got a really great friend of mine. I've known this guy for, 35 or 40 years, almost as long as I've been in dentistry. We met over the internet, interestingly enough, only I originally thought his name was Trixie, but he's one of those guys that everybody knows. So say hello to my buddy, Dr. Paul Feuerstein. Paul, thanks for joining me.
Well, thanks for doing this, John. I mean, I was going to open and say, wow, it's finally great to meet you. I mean, we've had stories that go back easily over 30 years in a journey, and I'm sure you've talked about your journey over time, about how we met on the internet, literally, how you and I and Marty Javelin and a number of other people, by the way, I just bumped into Ashley Goodman at the CDA.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
And we were kind of the internet pioneers, and we evolved into going to the ADA meetings and teaching technology. And early on, we're talking about literally 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So and you and I, John, have had so many great adventures. Our kids have grown up together. It's just been great. And you're my brother from another planet here. I mean, I'm on the East Coast of Boston. I have two accents. You'll hear my New York accent where I grew up, and my Boston accent that I've lost my R's since I got up here. When I first came to Boston, I was an associate in a practice, and so I had an assistant, and she says, "Oh, your next patient's a farmer nun." I go, "Wow." So this woman comes in. I go, "What did you do on the farm?" And she goes, "What?" She was a farmer nun. So, things like that. I got a speeding ticket one time. I was speeding, actually, and I got stopped by the state police in the Massachusetts Turnpike. And he goes, "I'm giving you a wanning." And I go, "Excuse me?" So anyway, that's my upbringing. So my accent is a little bit mixed up. But anyway.
So you kind of went into a bit of your origin story, but give us the whole thing. Tell us how you got from basically your childhood in New York to how you got to being editor-in-chief of dentistry today, because it's a fascinating story.
Some of it you never heard. So I grew up in New York City, and I'm old, and there was something that called Sputnik. Do you remember Sputnik, John?
I do. You know what's funny is I know about Sputnik. I'm not actually old enough to remember the moment of Sputnik, but I do.
This is back in 1957. Russia launched the satellite, and the U.S. went crazy. They said, "Oh my God, they've never seen anything like this before." And Russia was developing ICBMs and things like that. So the U.S. government went crazy and said, "We got to catch up." So I'm in the school system in New York City. I grew up in Queens, and they tested all the kids like in second grade to see how smart they were and see if we were good enough to be helpful in the space race. So there's a thing called an IQ test that's I don't know if it's still given around, but I ended up being like Mr. Einstein or something. I don't know what happened. So I was tracked out. I was pulled out with a couple of friends, and we were tracked completely differently in elementary school from second grade on to be heavily taught science, math, things like that. So I'll bounce around a little bit. So my best friend who was involved in this thing was named David Selden. And he was letting these guys, remember, pi 3.14? He knew it to 100. He knew it to 100 places, things like that. David, I'll jump ahead, went on to get his PhD in nuclear physics. Then he went to medical school and became the head of radiology at Leahy Clinic in Massachusetts.
Oh my gosh!
This is the level of craziness that we were. So as we're going through school, they kept watching us, and they kept pushing stuff to us. And they said, "You know what? You don't have to go to third grade. You can go to fourth grade. You don't have to go to sixth grade. You can go to seventh grade." So I skipped a couple of grades. I did 7, 8, 9 in 2 years.
Whoa.
So the challenge was that I went to high school. I was like 12 years old, 11 or 12 years old in high school.
Okay,
So
so this is cool because everybody, I didn't know this part of the story. This is really cool. So yeah, keep going, Paul.
yeah, so the challenge for me was I was this brain kid. People say like Doogie Howser from the TV show, but the problem was I was 2 or 3 years younger than everybody in high school.
Yeah.
So they're dating, and I'm like, what's that mean?
Right.
I'm 12, 13 years old. So it was a very challenging mental upbringing, which I didn't realize until later on. So I had no social interaction. And even at graduation from high school, I just had turned 15. So during this whole process, I was being bombarded with the math and science. So that's my forte, as you know. But simultaneously, my parents and my aunt specifically wanted me to play the piano. So as a little kid, I was taking piano lessons, classical piano lessons for years and years and years. Then I picked up saxophone, clarinet, oboe, bassoon. I never did flute as a woodwind. And at graduation from high school, I got it's not a fellowship, but
A scholarship?
scholarship to Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania to play bassoon. And I said, I'm not that good. They go, yeah, but you play bassoon. In the meantime, going back to my friend David Selden, we were together all the time, and his father was a dentist. Now, I had no idea what that meant. I didn't know. I just liked the guy. And he was just a nice guy. I never went to his office. I knew nothing about teeth, and other than the fact that I went to this guy in Brooklyn that did stuff to me with the old rope drills and all that.
Yeah.
So I figured, so this is early on. I'm talking about grade school. See, I want to be a dentist like David's father. And it just stuck with me forever, not even knowing what the heck it is. So, so the whole music thing was running over here. And I'm looking at Gettysburg College, free ride to college. But I said, you know what? I really still want to be a dentist. So I picked up Stony Brook University, State University of New York at Stony Brook. And I went to be pre-med, and they didn't have anything like pre-med. It was a new school. There was people who know Stony Brook now know there's a whole medical center that wasn't even there.
Oh yeah, it's a huge thing now.
There was nothing. It was a big field.
Wow.
So I had to go into the sciences. So I went into biochemistry, and again, I was still being pressured by the government's program here. So all I was taking was math, science, physics. We had computer science. I didn't have to take any humanities courses, none. I mean, I took a couple of English classes, maybe. I think I may have taken some political something or other. And in my senior year, the dean comes to me. He goes, my advisor, he says, you can't graduate. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you got all these A's and all these things and all this crazy physics and math and science, computer science. But you need one course. You need one humanities course. So I go, what the hell? And I'm too busy. I'm in the chemistry lab. Remember, you've seen these things where you build these crazy things with all kinds of hoses and things.
Like Erlenmeyer flasks and Bunsen burners, everything connects and condensers.
A whole laboratory full of that stuff. So I all right, I'll take philosophy. That sounds easy. I went to about 3 classes the whole year, and I'm a great test taker. And I figured, you know what? I'll just read the book. The last week of school, I'll read the important books. It was called Kierkegaard's Fear and Trembling. It's a very, very famous philosophy book. I read this thing in about 2 days, sit down at the test, and I'm ready to answer the questions, and there were none. It said, write an essay.
Oh,
I'm like, oh boy. So I did this essay. I just made it up. I get called into the dean's office again. This is an F, Paul. It's not going to look very good on the transcript, and you need a D to graduate.
Oh my gosh.
So we had to make a deal with the teacher to give me some insane thing that I could do to at least get me a D.
Oh my gosh.
So when I went to my dental school interviews, there's A's around, A, D. I said, let me explain.
My gosh.
And my computer training, John, is, I think I know some of this, is I was trained on the IBM 360, which was a gigantic computer. It was a gigantic room, and we used punch cards.
Yeah, punch cards.
You write a program, you write a list of steps, and you punch in each card, and you walked into the room to run your program. It was a stack of cards like this. You put it in, And there was a big queue, a mile long of these things. And the next day they said, okay, your program ran, and you had a problem in line 16. So you got to do it all over again.
Yeah.
So I know what the little holes mean. Anyway, so that was I had to learn Fortran and COBOL and BASIC and machine language and things like that. So it was pretty interesting. So anyway, I get out of college, and now I'm like 17, and I'm looking around and saying, I can't just jump in. I got into dental school. I said, I can't do this. I mean, I haven't lived. I took a gap. Before gap years existed, I took a year off. I said, my parents agreed. They said, we got to mature you.
Yeah.
You're going to dental school and you're going to be away. So I taught high school science for 1 year, the ninth grade.
That's like an 18-year-old.
Yeah, my homeroom was older than me.
Oh, my God. That is like Doogie Howser.
Yeah, so I turned 18 during that first year. But they knew it, and they took advantage of me in school. It was really funny. And so just a interesting side note, the school is called Massapequa High School. It's on Long Island, Massapequa, Long Island. And unbeknownst to me or anybody, there was a senior there. His name happened to be Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, my gosh.
No, never knew him. But if I have time, I'll tell you a story about Jerry later on. So, I guess so. I did this whole year. I was also playing the band, playing bands and doing things on Long Island, doing a lot of stuff there. And so I go to. So I got to dental school. Went to New Jersey. It was called New Jersey College of Dentistry. And everybody who went to dental school understands this. Before you got to dental school, you were top in your class.
Right.
When you went to dental school, everyone was top in your class.
Yep.
And it kind of like threw me. I said, wait a minute. I'm the smartest guy around. Well, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Maybe fifth.
I know that feeling well.
So it was really an interesting equalizer. But the good thing was, with my background, for example, freshman year, what's your hardest course? Biochemistry.
Right.
I mean, I could have taught the course. So I'm snoozing in the back of the classroom. I was pissing, and having trouble with this whole thing. And on top of it, I was rebellious because I went to school in the 60s, and I looked kind of like this. My hair was actually longer. And in dental school, they said, no.
Oh, yeah.
No facial hair. Haircut up to here.
Where's your tie?
The whole thing. And
yeah.
I came to this school, so I had to do it to get into school. And I came to literally, I don't know why. I mean, you know me. I went to the dean's office. I said, can you explain to me what this has to do with being a dentist? Well, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I said, I have clinical skills, and my clinical skills should be the main thing. So anyway, people in my class who are watching this remember all this stuff, that while I was in dental school, I snuck out the beard, I snuck down the hair, and a couple of professors that were flipping. And I almost literally, one time I almost got literally thrown out of school. They were waving goodbye to me in my classroom.
Oh, my gosh.
But we persisted, and we actually the whole class became pretty, bunch of rebel rousers, and we're still well known. And not only that, but in my class, there were still probably 7 people from my class who were still on faculty at New Jersey College of Dentistry, which is now Rutgers. So one of the things that happened, now we're talking about 1970, Princeton, New Jersey, which is where the SATs come from, has this massive computer, and they put all the schools in the state online. So we're at the dental school, and the dean calls me in with his, what is this thing? They gave us this like TV thing, and what are we supposed to do with this thing? And there's a keyboard. I go, well, that's a computer. He goes, well, how does it work? I said, well, how do you hook it in? He goes, I don't know. So I spent most of my senior year in clinic and also half my time in the dean's office helping the school connect to this mainstream computer. And I said, watch this. You can play tic-tac-toe. It's really cool.
You're telling the dean, see, there's this thing called TCP/IP.
Yeah. So I became the go-to person from the dean's office. So what's funny is at graduation, they said, would you be willing to work with us for a year after you graduate in the dean's office? I said, well, I want to be a dentist. They, well, we have a clinic. You can work in the clinic. So it was like a one-day thing.
Yeah.
So I became, the day after graduation, I was the assistant to the assistant dean of the dental school.
Oh, my gosh. What's it, they were going to throw you out, and the dean was like, we can't get rid of him. I got reports I got to print.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
forgetting, now I'm remembering some crazy stuff. So you just said something funny. Paul, you have to wear a tie in clinic. You have to wear a white coat and a tie. I don't know any ties. So I'm in the school's in New Jersey, in Jersey City. I take a train into Manhattan, and there's a store called Tie City. 3 for $1. 3 for $1. I found the ugliest ties I could find. It was like paisley tie, all these disgusting ties. I started wearing them in the clinic, and after a week, they said, "Don't wear a tie." So that's kind of the short story. But yeah, I did help the school. So as you know, I went into an associateship. The guy had wanted to retire. I ended up buying the practice for I think like $30 or something. It was something ridiculous.
You gave him like 10 ties. Say, here you go, it's even.
Yeah. And so I took over this little tiny practice and did a lot of things, and I got some stuff, and so I started ordering equipment and things, and all of a sudden I get this chair. It was called the Pelton Crane Chairman.
I had one of those.
And I thought, this is such a cool chair because it's the only chair to this day that moves back and forth, front to back.
Yeah, it's got a track on the base. Yeah.
Yep. So first thing I do is comes into the office, I take the cushions off and start looking inside to see how this thing works. And there's this little thing underneath. So the guy from it wasn't Patterson at the time, but it was a company like that, came in, and I go, "What is this wheel here for?" And he goes, "I don't know." And "What is this doing here?" "I don't know." So this was my introduction to starting to tear dental things apart and figure out how the heck they worked in the practice. So so that, I guess that's kind of the backstory. I mean, there's a lot of stories on that. My rock and roll story, I'll just give a tiny piece of that because I don't want to spend a lot of time because we have other things to talk about. But I played in bands, and I was in school, and then I played in New York. I'd be in school during the day. I'd play in Manhattan till like 2 a.m. with bands. One of my bands got picked up by Decca Records, and Paul Simon's brother, his name is Eddie Simon, was actually the producer. He said, we're going to do a 45, which reminds me, those of you who know me, I wear a special tie.
Yep.
If you don't know what this thing is, this is a 45. This is a record that you used to get, and the problem with this thing is you can't fit this on your record player. So in order to fit this on your record player, you needed one of these things.
Oh, you actually have one.
I sure do. And what you did, if I can do this online, live here, is you would click it in here like this, and now you could put this on the record player. Thus, that's my tie, and it's also the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's logo. Oops, I just lost it.
No, don't do that. I can 3D print you another one.
Actually, you probably could. So in my junior year at dental school in clinic, we get this contract from Decca Records. So we went and recorded. I spent every night in the studio. I would run after school. By the way, I'm on a subway train with my 2 guitars on the subway train, and today.
I would say you had good luck getting off the subway with a guitar.
I'm coming home at like 2 a.m, and I have dental clinic at 8 a.m. too.
Oh my gosh!
So they go, okay. So we have this big meeting in Manhattan. I say, okay, Paul. It was me and the band members, and I was the musician part. The other ones were writers and singers. 3 other people. We have a contract here for you. There's a lot of money. I said, great, and this includes your cross country tour. I go, when? Now. I'm a junior in dental school. I go, well, take a year off, I go, take a year off from dental school? Look, we're giving you a ton of money. We're going to program, you come back, you go cross country, you go to California, Las Vegas. And I was panicking. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I mean, and so my parents said, this is a lot of money, but that's all you may have for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. You're not Eric Clapton. So I think he was alive then. They said,
I think Clapton was God then.
Yeah. So they said, you can't just take the money and then 3 years from now, first of all, you'll probably be dead with the people you're hanging around with.
Right.
This is the 60s and 70s. So I prepared a speech to come back to Decca, and I was going to say, I can't do this thing, and I'm not the writer, I'm not the primary person in the band, and you're going to have to go without me and find something. Right. And as I was about to say it, the woman who's a singer stands up and she goes, I'm not signing this contract. And I go, what's the matter? She goes, did you read it? Well, actually, no. they want us to do this, we want us to do that. I'm not doing that stuff. I said, well, me neither.
I'm with you, sister.
Yeah. So I'm still friendly with her. She's in Berkeley, California. She still writes protest songs. One day they were trying to close a post office in Berkeley, California, and she had to sit down and brought her friend Country Joe McDonald to come in with her. If anybody remembers Country Joe.
Country Joe and the Fish.
So she's still out there doing these things.
That's awesome.
So anyway, so I went up to I decided to move out of New York City. I went up to Massachusetts. Another story. Got this practice. I'm in practice now for a while, and I played in bands periodically. And for me, it was therapy. I used to play in this terrible bar near my office. I would dress down. I look like this. I'd hide in the back. I said, "Don't pay me. This is my therapy." And every once in a while, some drunk would look up and go, "Oh my God, isn't that the dentist?" I go, No, that's my twin brother. You must know. So once you're a musician, you never stop. You're never not a musician. I don't know if you can see behind me. I have my amps, my guitars, things like that. I don't play out much. I play with some friends of mine every once in a while on Saturdays. We get together, but you never lose it. But I think just an interesting side note, by playing guitar, playing piano, things like that, my hands are always moving differently.
Uh-huh.
I had a problem like carpal tunnel or anything like that because I'm doing repetitive in the office, but I'm doing totally different things to get there. And
that makes perfect sense.
I've met zillions, maybe not zillions, several dentists who are musicians and fabulous musicians and have done some really big things. And we all kind of know each other all of a sudden as we've made bands together. We've done little things here and there.
Right.
But I think that's my salvation of not being 100% entrenched in what we do, what you and I do, John. Because what we do every day, we're in the office, we're not every day, we're out lecturing, we're teaching, we're going to classes, it's dentistry.
Yeah.
And the thing that really gets me is I'll go to my local dental meeting, and we're sitting down at dinner. This guy says, "You got to see this x-ray of this root canal I did today." I said, "God damn it." I said, "Put that away."
No more teeth. You got to have some other inputs. You've got to have something other than that. Because, the thing is that at the point that you and I are in our careers, at some point, it's not going to be dentistry anymore. And if you don't have any other interests, what are you going to do?
True.
Yeah.
So along the way, because of my knowledge base of computers, and as you know, I bought a computer in 1978. It looked like the size of a washing machine, this giant thing.
And talk about the disc that ran it. That, I think, is fascinating.
Oh, I should have brought one with me here. The disc, I can't even put it on the screen. The disc is this big. Wow. It was 2 megabytes. And it took 2 people to do the backups. It was a big drawer. You pull this drawer out, there's this gigantic disc, and you had to undo it and stick it in there, and then it run for 20 minutes, take that out, put the other side in. I still have the disc. I have it in my attic. They're sitting next to my TRS-80, my Radio Shack TRS-80, my television. I still have some boards. To those of you who understand, I have some 386 boards, 286 boards, just hanging around. I don't know what they're doing there. But so I ended up teaching classes for the ADA and other places, thanks to you, John, and I grew up the Internet Dental Forum, which I'm sure you've talked about, and teaching what the hell a computer is. And I'd come into classrooms with a computer, with a new PC. PCs came in around 1981, 82, something like that. And I'd bring it in, and dentists was still flabbergasted. What would you want? What would you even need this for? Well, it prints forms.
Yeah.
It was very basic, but it printed insurance forms. That was cool. So I'd open up the box and say, "This is a thing called a hard drive. This is where all your information is, and this is a thing called memory. This is where all the things happen, and this is this." And I would explain it, and then. In those days, when you bought a computer, you went to a store or went online. Well, there was no online, and you said, I need a computer, and then they would say, well, you have a 286 this and a blah 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 blah. And my classroom, I gave them like a worksheet. Said, when you go looking for a computer, you need this much RAM, you need this much this, and I would take them up. So what was the guy's name? Gallagher. I used to take things apart on the stage, and So here's a fun story for you, John. So we were together, and I was doing one of those classes at the ADA meeting. I think it was in California somewhere. And when I packed up my computer pieces, I shipped them back home, and it got lost. FedEx lost it, or UPS, or whoever it was, lost it. So I put in a claim and said there was a computer in there, and I got $800.
Oh, that was probably the ADA in like 97 or 98, I think.
Yeah.
Because I know you were like taking them apart in front of crowds. You know, it's a funny thing. You talk about like people like, what are you going to, what do we do with that? I remember that the first ADA lecture I did, I said, and it was a big room, all these people in there. And I remember I said, there's this new way they've come out to connect stuff to your computers. And I think it's going to be big. It's called Universal Serial Bus. And the abbreviation is USB. And I'll never forget, I saw every person in the audience like write that down.
Well, they also didn't know how we connected with these. We used to connect with telephones and sticking on these little modems and things like that. So everyone knows kind of the evolution of things, and I don't have to be redundant and say, hey, my little cell phone has more stuff than they sent people to the moon, things like that. So in the middle of it all, we met John, maybe I think I have it here. I thought I brought it with me. Yes. So we met a guy named Bob Davis in our group dental forum. And Bob Davis, are you ready for this, John?
Watsonville, California. Oh my gosh. What did you saved that all these years?
A few of these. This was the very first magazine that was sent out to dentists about technology.
He would print those in his office and like hand fold them. That is so cool. That's where I got my start at Tools R Us.
Exactly. So me and you and Marty and some of the other people wrote columns in these things.
Yeah.
Now, we couldn't write worth a damn. I mean, like I said, I never even took English or anything. So, but we've been writing and writing and writing about what's the latest technology, and people would read this stuff. And I don't know what the circulation of this thing was. And as just rolling forwards, and this is what you wanted me to talk about a little bit, was I started writing, and then people came to me from the real magazines, said, hey, would you like to write an article for us? In fact, and the same thing would happen to you. Can you write about, what is a computer? What is a laser? What is this? What is that?
It happened to me after it happened to you, because I remember you came to me. It was a Chicago midwinter meeting one year, and you were like, I'm gonna write a column. I'm not even sure of the magazine, but I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, what happened there at that Chicago meeting is Joe Blaze was the editor-in-chief of Dental Economics. He'd been there for years.
Yeah.
And it was getting close to Y2K.
Right.
If you remember.
Yeah, it was like 99 or 98. Yeah.
Right. So he said, can you explain this to me? I said, Joe, I'm not so sure. but I said, let's do this. I said, I'll write a little article about it. So I wrote a little article, and people read it, and they went, oh, they had no idea what was going on. What does Y2K mean? What's going to happen? What's all this stuff?
Right. All they knew was that the world was going to end, but nobody had any idea what the concerns were or why.
So then he says, hey, can you write another article about something else? I said, sure. Next thing you know, every month he says, hey, could you write an article? Next month. So all of a sudden, in the late 90s, every single month, every month I had a column due on technology, whatever it was called. And so I'd scramble around. And now, as a student, this is my way I worked. The day before I had an exam, I studied the night before. If this thing was due on a Monday, I did it Sunday night. And I'm sitting there going, what can I write about? What can I write about? So if you did the math, I did about 15 years every single month of these columns. So I guess I have a pretty big footprint. Now with AI, I think they could probably find all this stuff. But that's where it started as a writer. And then, and this is not a joke, in New York City at the Greater New York meeting, in a dark alley on a dark street, this big guy comes up to me. He says, hey, I'd like you to write for us. I go, who are you? He goes, my name is Jim Radcliffe, and I own Dentistry Today. I go, oh yeah, I read that magazine. He goes, you shouldn't be wasting your time with dental economics. You should write for us. And he's kind of scary. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he is a big guy.
And I said, well, I'm kind of on contract. He goes, we'll take care of that for you. We'll take care of that for you. And so I had to go to Joe and cry and say, Joe, yes, I got this really nice offer from Dentistry Today, and I can write this. I'm going to be writing a column for them. And he was not happy.
Right.
But it is what it is. It's like John in baseball. Guys get traded every day.
Yep.
You know, I felt like I was part of a big base. There was no bonus signing, by the way.
They
But
got
it was
they got you for a writer to be named later.
exactly. so so I was writing that column, and then probably 6 or 7 years ago, Damon Adams, who was really my mentor in the magazine,
Right. He was the editor.
he was retiring, and he said, "Why don't you be the editor in chief?" I go, "What do I have to do?" He goes, just read articles." I go, "Oh, cool, I can do that." And as you know, John, having been there, that's not the job. The job isn't just not reading articles; it's getting people to write the articles
Yep.
and figuring out if they're talking about anything that makes any sense and things that people would want to see. And who are these people? And are they credible? Are they just writing because they feel like writing, or are they somebody famous in the industry, like good speakers? And so my job is literally 24/7. Other than the fact I just still see patients 2 days a week. I have to Monday and Wednesday. I still see patients, but I'm even doing work in between patients. I'm looking at emails, things like that, and I'm trying to get content. So my job at the magazine is to bring in the clinical content of the magazine. And we try very hard to find great clinicians, some of the legacy clinicians, but my focus has lately been the last few years, new people. Because dentistry, all of you out there, don't look like the dental students that I was with in my school. We were all white kids
Yep.
from successful families, and that's not what dental school looks like at all. It's very diverse. It's probably 50+% female. People from all over the world are in these classes. And that's what dentistry looks like. So I've been trying very hard to scout out through, thank goodness for social media and Facebook and things like that, new people to bring into the magazine, new faces, new ideas, new challenges, and I'm trying to change the face of the magazine. Having said that, I have to, I'm not apologizing. My first two issues this year, one was Gordon Christensen and one was Joe Massad on my cover. But so
But
we're still.
I love what you're doing. I mean, I think talk about the covers. I think we're going on like maybe the 2-year anniversary now, where Dentistry Today had an issue, and I think one of the things that everybody knows about Dentistry Today is there's always a big photo on the cover of a clinician, and then down the left sidebar there's like 3 or 4 little portrait photos of the other authors that are in the magazine. And like I said, it was around 2 years ago. You had an issue that came out that did not have one white male on the cover. And I thought that was so super cool because it was really representative of what you just said, the way the profession is now. And I think that is just, I keep saying super cool, but it is. I can't think of a better adjective.
It was deeper than that. So the initial idea was I wanted to have a number of women clinicians write articles. Well, I got a lot. I think we had 11 pieces in that magazine. Every single one was written by a dentist who's female. But my introduction to the magazine that issue was, these are not females who are dentists. These are dentists. Period. They're dentists.
Yeah.
It's not female dentists, women dentists. It's dentists, and understand that this is what you do, this is what you have in the world. And and as you said, it was quite diverse. I had people from all over the world, from Egypt, from Australia. I had people all different nationalities on the cover, Iran, Asian, and I was trying to get a sort of over a landscape of the world, not the dentistry of the world. And also, I got involved through that, speaking to organizations like the Hispanic Dental Association, the National Dental Association, which is an association primarily of black dentists, which was protective in the early ages and still a very, very strong power. The Indian Association, the American Indian Association, the LGBTQ Dental Association. And so I become sort of a feeding ground for these people because they never thought they could be in the magazines. And I said, why not?
Right.
Anybody listening here can send me an article, or at least a template for an article or a case, and say, I think this is a cool case, and people could learn something from it. That's the main thing. It's educational, and it doesn't have to be. Everybody doesn't have to be 50 veneers and 400 implants and an all on 10 and whatever it is. Every dentist isn't doing that. Rob Lowe, a dear friend of both of us, Bob
Oh
Lowe,
yeah.
Wrote an
Love
article,
Bobby.
and the article was somebody chipped the corner off a number 7. That was the article, and he bonded the thing on. He told us how did he bond it, how did he etch it, how did he do, and it broke off. And he did it again, and it broke off. And then he went to a little bit of discussion about Pankey and Spear and all this about the the occlusal factors and all that.
Right.
One of the best articles I've ever had in a magazine, all about chip number 7. And so as long as there's a story behind the story, and the dentist who, I don't care if it's an all-on X, literally, show me how you did one piece of that whole thing. Show me the steps. What did you take? What was the intake? What was did you use combing? Did you use this? Did you use guided surgery? I need that. So any of you who are listening, if you have a case, but you also can document, you have to document this from start to finish. The patient came in, the patient fell down the stairs, they broke their front teeth, whatever it is. I love stories, and break it down into the tiniest pieces so that the dentist reading it said, oh yes, I used the whatever bonding agent, and I used this composite because it had this quality to it. I don't want to mention names right now. And that's what I'm looking for. It's always what I'm looking for. I have one kind of funny story. Is I'm on Facebook groups, all the nachos groups, things like that. I'm on those groups. I read these things, and there's an article. This is several years ago, and a dentist had just gotten his brand new 3Shape scanner.
Okay.
And I actually worked. It's a long story. I worked with the people from 3Shape a while ago, and he did a single crown. But this is early on, so it was before. So he was able to do the scan, and he showed a picture of the scan. He showed how he marked the margins. He went through the whole workflow of how he developed this crown. And I thought, wow, I mean, he really broke it down.
Yeah.
So I sent an instant message on Facebook, and I said, hey, that was a pretty cool article. Would you like to take that case and turn it into an article, and we'll put it in the magazine? He's like, aren't you Dr. Paul? I mean, I'm some kid in New Jersey. I go, yeah. I said, but this is a great piece. I said, if you would be willing. He says, I don't know how to write. I said, yes, you do. Just write down, pretend you're in front of a room, write down what you did. I'm not a great editor, but I have editors who work with me to make the English, fix the English. So he does this thing, and I have to say this, and I'm going to get in trouble, but I'm going to say, so Jim Radcliffe says, who the heck is this guy? And I said, I have no idea. He says, well, how's he writing for the magazine? I said, Jim, the content is amazing. I said, let it ride. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
And the response was great. But 2 months later, the guy calls me, the dentist calls me, he says, I just got a call from 3Shape, and they saw the article and want me to present it at one of their forums. And the next thing you know, he's now teaching for 3Shape, and he actually is teaching digital dentistry all over the place. So when I go to a dental meeting, I see him. Hey, Paul, I can't forget him. That was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I have a slew of people who I've done that with. I'm not mentioning names. Nate Lawson, who constantly thank me for giving them the ideas of how to go to that next level. And who am I and what am I doing? And it doesn't matter. And everybody gets a shot. And they come to you, John. They come to Marty. How'd you get there? How did you do this? And we tell them.
That's exactly what I was going to go into. So yeah, just roll with that.
Yeah, so I mean, you can just chime in on this. I mean, this is what we do. This is how we operate. So, the superstardom came to us. We didn't go searching for it. It just happened. We're doing something benevolent. What's your agenda, Paul? Nothing. I'm here to teach. I'm here to bring new people into the fold. I want to get more people doing what I'm doing. I want to have people who can teach new people things. I mean, that's the agenda, and that's my feeling. It's just like in my practice right now. My beauty of my practice is I sold my practice a while ago. I still want to work 2 days a week. I have no responsibilities. I come in and do teeth, and if I want to, I'll spend 2.5 hours doing the occlusal. It doesn't matter. I'm doing this because I'm getting a kick out of the whole thing. I say to my patients look at me, they go, what the hell? When are you going to retire? I go, when I lose my enthusiasm.
Yeah, when it's not fun anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because people do come up to us and ask us, like, hey, I always call it the recipe. Like, give me the recipe of what you did to get where you are. And I always tell people, I feel like it's the 1930s and I'm in like downtown Hollywood in a malt shop and I'm just sitting there all by myself and I turned at just the right angle and some guy says, "Have you ever thought about being in moving pictures?" Because
Yeah.
it just fell in my lap. So there really isn't a recipe, but the thing I really want to emphasize about you is for the people that are watching this and they're saying, "I've got a story to tell," or "I want to do what they do." This is the guy that can help you do that. And reach out to Dr. Paul. I mean, he's easy to find and he can give you that start, that voice. You don't have to know somebody, you already know him. And I love what you're doing.
And like I'm sure what you do is we see some new speakers, we see some new people, and they look pretty interesting, and they'll come up to you, John, or me, and they'll go, "How do I go to get to speak to the Chicago Midwinter meeting? How do I
Yeah.
speak to?" And so we tell them,
Yep.
here's the person to get in touch with. There's a committee. You know,
Yeah.
I'm in Boston. We have Yankee, and make a presentation. The little challenge is that as a speaker, you have to earn your time.
Yes.
And so you have to be. Any of the bigger meetings want to see you somewhere or see something about you. Um, right now, I think they're looking at some. They're allowing you to show some videos of you, but usually the answer I usually say is, "Where do you live?" "I live in Kansas City." "Why don't you go to the local Kansas City dental meeting and
Yep.
say, 'Hey, for free, I'll give a 1 hour presentation at the dinner meeting.'" And that gets your feet wet for starters.
Mm-hmm.
It's number one on your resume. "I spoke at the Kansas City Dental Association meeting." And then you try to build on that, and you do a lot of stuff. I mean, well, it's pretty much for free.
Yeah, loss leaders.
It actually costs money. People look at us, they go, "Oh, you guys are making a zillion." It costs us more money to go on the road, leave our practice, not see patients, pay for all this stuff. You know, if it's usually a wash. Occasionally we get occasionally you get some little bonuses that come up, things like that. But you're not doing this for, believe me, it's not for profit. This is for your fun.
No.
This is for your passion.
It's like being in a band. I mean, truly, a lot of people, travel in a band just around, like a 2 or 3 state area. They play bars, they get stuff thrown at them, but they do it because they love to play. And that's kind of what it reminds me of is,
you're hoping for the golden ring. And,
yeah, absolutely.
But you kind of have to earn it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a path. You have to take the path, and you may start doing these little presentations. I don't like this. I mean, this is not what I wanted to do. It's
Right.
kind of and people get nervous. I mean, this is a backwards story, but I was teaching many years ago. I don't know how many at the Connecticut Dental Association. They had a special meeting. I'm in this gigantic. I mean, this is a huge room. It's like 650 people, I think, something like that. Kind of I mean, I get overwhelmed when I see. I mean, I don't just walk on and go, "Hey,"
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you look out and you see that, and you're like, "Holy crap."
Yeah, exactly. So I was going through I was going through my things, and there was a brand new thing called Encode that had just come out. It was the new it was the little healing cap that you could actually
Yeah.
take an impression of or scan. I didn't know anything about it other than it existed. And in the room there were some vendors, and there was a young woman who worked for the company. I don't remember, was it 3i? I don't remember who it was.
I think it was 3i, but I'm not sure.
Whatever it was. And so I said, there's this new thing called an Encode healing cap. I don't really know much about it, but the rep is right here, so come on up here for a second. Why don't you explain it? And the girl comes up to the stage, and she goes like this, she goes, "Ugh."
Yeah, deer in the headlights. Yeah.
It never dawned on me. I mean, I've been performing on stages and in bands and things like that. So this is like, oh wow. And she's like complete. So I mean, I was looking for the wet spot on the floor,
Yeah. One time when we started doing video at Dental Products Report, we were doing the interviews like you do at shows, where you go by and this is, Bob from whatever, and they've come out with this new product. And it's always kind of funny. It's probably not as common for it to happen now, although you do those show interviews a lot more than I do anymore. But anyway, they bring up like the number one sales rep, and the person would be like really energetic and really, great. And then you'd be like, okay, 3, 2, 1, I'm here at the booth with Bob, and Bob would just be like, because there's something about the camera that just
so many things like that. During COVID, every morning at 10 o'clock in the morning, I put out a little podcast called 10 at 10, 10 minutes at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Sometimes we record it, sometimes we're live, sometimes we record it. And it was just a random bunch of people that I would talk. I talked to. I don't know if I spoke to you. I know I talked to Marty on one of those, and I talked to people who I knew around the world. I was talking to somebody in England, somebody in Australia. I talked to Stanley Bergman. I mean,
Wow.
all different people to do all these little things. And I had one or two where that exactly happened. I was given a name of somebody. Oh, this is a world famous cancer expert, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I go, so tell me about your journey.
Yeah.
I understand that your brother had oral cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to drag it out of him.
So part of it. I mean, you and I think are the David Letterman of dentistry.
You got the better beard though.
Yeah, we don't have the space. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, David.
I also gave up the Dr. Paul locks finally. It was a bad experiment.
But that's the journey, and I hope that I'm coming. This obviously this is not rehearsed. This is my enthusiasm every day. The only one that doesn't get this is my wife. John and Marty at a giant meeting this year presented me with this very, very I had no clue, a very big award. It was the I can't even talk
Dental
about it.
Technology Lifetime Achievement Award.
And it was. I mean, I was crying. I mean, it was really quite big.
I was too.
And John, and I'm saying it again, as you know, it was the beautiful piece that you said. So I have this giant thing. So I come home. I say to my wife, she says, "How was your meeting?" I said, "Well, it was pretty good, but I got this gigantic award." She goes, "You know what? Take the garbage out, would you?"
Well, that award was so much fun because you didn't know about it.
Right.
And it was, I don't know, it was super cool. It was heartfelt. And I like to write. I've always loved to write from the time I was a kid. And being able to write about you and kind of what you've done and stuff, that was a lot of fun for me. And it was a tremendous honor for Marty and I to be able to give that to you. It really.
And truthfully, you said, "Come on up here and say something." I was like that girl at that meeting.
Yeah, I get that totally because it was completely unexpected.
Yeah, and I said before, I just do this. I'm not looking for anything. I'm not looking for accolades. I just do it. And if these things happen, they happen. And I mean, it's great. I have a whole bunch of stuff behind me all over the place with papers and things, but it's just what I do. It's just what I love doing. And again, I'm an open book, as you said, John, and I'm easy to. Actually, I think I'm going to do a dangerous thing here. But my email, my personal email, is very simple because I was early in dentistry. I was early in the internet. It's Dr. Paul, DRPAUL, at toothfairy.com. I mean, how cool is that?
It's very cool.
My original website, my office, was myteeth.com, which I still own. I don't use it much, but I still own it, myteeth.com. So, and in fact, on AOL, I have the discs over here. I still have the discs. My name is Dr. Paul, DRPAUL, at AOL.com. I haven't looked at that email. I think the email still exists, but I haven't looked at it probably in 10 years. I don't know.
I would say, how do you access it? My first email address was ir120079 at interramp.com. You'd sign up and they would just give you this random, I don't know. And I remember I emailed them. I said, why are the last 4 digits 1279? And they said, because the next person that got an email address was 1280. They just assigned them in numerical order. It's just so long ago. But I mean, and this is, I think it's important too, is that, like the passion comes through. Because like you said, you don't do this because you get rich. You don't do it for accolades. You do it because you like doing it. You know, you like the interactions, you like meeting people. I'm always amazed when we go to a meeting, and if we go to a meeting like New York or Chicago or the recently held CDA Anaheim, you know, these 3 and 4 day meetings, you are like out of bed at like 5 in the morning, and you're at the show all day, and then the minute the show's done, I'll be like, Paul, what's going on? Well, I've got this dinner or this, you know, this reception from 5 to 5:15, then from 5:15 to 5:30, I'm going to be with 3Shape, and then from 5:30 to, you know, 6 o'clock, I gotta go meet with, you know, who knows, Exocad, and then I gotta go over and I gotta talk to some people at Solventum. And you just go and go and go, and then you get back to your bed, you fall face first into bed, you get up the next morning at 5 a.m. and you start it all over again. And it's because you love it, you know?
And that assumes you're not lecturing. If you're lecturing and you have an 8 o'clock lecture start, you got to be there at 6:30 or 7 o'clock. So you got to be at 4:30 or 5 to get ready, make sure your computer's working. Do I have time, John, to tell a story about the Chicago midwinter meeting where we went to 20 places?
Absolutely, we got time. That's a great story.
So John, I, and Marty specifically were invited to events all over Chicago at night. And we said, well, we got to go to this place here on this street, and this place here, this street.
And that travel time is going to kill us.
How do we do this? So I got this brainstorm. I said, let's hire a limo. So I called this limo company, very simple, in Chicago, and I said, hey, I need a limo for like 3 or 4 hours. They said, where are you going? I said, I don't know. But I need somebody who will take me to some place and drop me off and pick me up and drop me off and pick me up. And they, yeah, we can do that. So the 3 of us get into this great limo. It was a good limo, too.
It was a great limo.
And we go, okay, 5:30. All right, we got to be at the so-and-so at the 3M thing. All right, and we buzzed. I don't think we had cell phones, but we just tell them we'll be back in a half an hour. Come running down the stairs. Okay, now we got to go over to this one and go over this, and we're pulling up to these places in this limo, which was very cool. So
we'd pull right up to the front door, and like the doors would open, and we'd get out, and people were like, "Oh my God!" You know, they thought it was like Pearl Jam or something.
Yeah. So Marty remembers. I don't remember the place. We were at one meeting, and we had to spend more time there. And we were, as we were coming in, this guy was coming out. And he says, oh, I got to get to so-and-so. I said, hang on a minute. We walked down to the car. I said, could you take this guy to this place and come back and get us later? we own the limo.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, you were like, no, please, just take our limo. Borrow our limo. And which was classic.
So, but, you know, so why do we go to these meetings? It's important for a lot of things. Because number one, John, you were representing the magazine. I was representing Dental Economics, I think, at the time.
Yep.
And you have to mingle with people, but you also see people and you learn people, and then all of a sudden you meet the product manager, you meet the vice president of this and that, and so weeks later something comes up. You go, oh, you know, I have that guy's business card. I can call this guy and get the information I need. So it's all about networking. And that's what we do still to this day.
Yeah.
We're constantly at these meetings. We're constantly networking. A new company comes up. This is how I met Pacdent, for example. I was at a meeting and I knew what they were, but I met Sarah and I met anyway. So it was great. And then I spent some time with Medidenta since they're our sponsor. Without doubt.
Yeah.
I spent time with them, and I've learned from them, and I met these people. So if I have a question about their specific products, like the resins, things like that, or about the hand pieces or whatever they're doing, I had a direct contact. And if I didn't know, I'd say, hey, Sean, do you know somebody over at Bien Air or whatever the company is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can talk to Jim or whatever. So that's a lot of what we do too, is just networking there.
And the relationships are so important. Being able to, you don't have to go to a website and submit a question. You can actually call like the director of R&D or email them, and get. What was it? Marty was telling the story about they were working on something one time. He was having a meeting. It was fairly recently, and they were like, well, I wonder if this person would like to be involved. And Marty's like, hang on a minute, I'll text him, because he had the guy's cell phone number, and that.
Like this is a typical stack of cards that I would get. They banded up from this is Chicago Midwinter 2026. This is that and the other thing. I'm looking here. I don't know why. I have cards from meetings from 20 years ago. I talk to people. I say, they'll say, "Do you know something?" Yeah, of course. I said, "It's in my Rolodex," and they go, "Oh,
Yeah.
the what?"
Yeah.
That Rolodex that's in here.
Well, and that is something too. I'll tell everybody. Paul has got an incredible memory for names and faces. I don't. I really struggle with that. But one of the great things about hanging out with Paul in a meeting is I can see somebody and I can lean over and go, "Paul, who's that?" And Paul will be like, "Oh, well, that's Marty Jablow, and he's from New Jersey, and he's got two daughters, Sarah and Zoe." I mean, he knows. I don't know how you do it, but you've got that lock thing on names and faces.
You're giving me too much credit, because there's a lot of times that I see people and they come, "Wow, it was great to see you." I'm trying to read their badge, and their badge is on backwards. I'm going, "Who the heck is this person?"
And I'm just the opposite. I've actually I've been at a meeting and introduced myself to somebody that I had dinner with last year at the meeting. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that.
But that's where we roll. That's where we roll.
It is. So what are you seeing for the magazine going forward? Any plans on anything cool, or any like special issues coming up or anything like that?
I'm gonna hit a little sore point here for you.
Okay.
The print magazines right now are having a lot of trouble.
Yep.
And
I know.
As an example,
Yeah.
Dental Products Report couldn't sustain itself because these magazines, our magazine's 45 years old. I think 45 years old. At least 40 years old.
DPR was 65 or 60 or 65.
So in the old days, the only way manufacturers could get information to dentists was an ad in the magazine. And they charged for these ads. And so the magazine was sustainable because we had advertisers taking out advertisements, paying for the printing, the paper, the publication, postage right now. You know what postage right now is? It could cost over $60,000 to send out a magazine, just the postage.
Wow.
And what's happened is, because of online and social media, some of the companies are changing their budgets, and they say, "Well, we'll have this little amount in print, but we'll have to be on online." We have to, so in the dentistry today, specifically, and you did too, we're sort of reinventing ourselves and pushing a lot of things towards social media, into online, our website. We're doing a lot of great things. We're doing a lot more podcasts such as this. We're doing some webinars. We have online articles. We have columnists. So my fear, being honest, is that the magazines in globally, and that's not just dentistry, everywhere.
No, it is everywhere.
I mean, how many kids, I'll call them kids, the 20, college grads, are opening up the New York Times or some newspaper? Nobody.
Yeah.
They're not reading the paper. They're not reading physical print. The one thing that we happen to have is Dentistry Today is very proud. Jim Radcliffe is really, really, talk about passion.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He wants the top quality paper, the glossy paper. He wants it bound a certain way. He wants it to be the same gigantic format, which DPR was, and they shrunk it to make safe money. He refuses to make it smaller. What's the big deal? If I have a clinical case with 10 pictures, you open up the 2 pages, that 10 pictures are across the 10 pages.
Right.
Across the 2 pages. So the format still stands true. So we still get younger dentists. They look at the things online, but they realize that they can't really see what they have to, if on your phone, what do you look at 20 pictures in a row?
Right.
So they will look at the physical magazine. So we still send them out to probably 100,000 people to read the magazine in print. As long as Jim can survive, and this is an economic thing, as long as we can survive, this thing's going to go forever. But if we have to reinvent, we're reinventing. So we're doing a turn. So we're trying to get some revenue. It's a revenue thing.
Yep.
But still, it still gives me great. I still sit there, and if you wrote an article, John, on some 3D printed veneer that you did or something like that, we put that in the article, but it would have to say, what resin did you use? Did you use the Rodin resin? What scanner did you use? So it's a little push out to the companies to say, we mentioned your product in the articles, so maybe can you give us a couple of bucks to sustain the article? And that's the reality of the whole thing right now. That's not mandatory, but that's what keeps us rolling.
Well, and you mentioned you mentioned photos too, and I want to hit that for a second, because for the doctors that are watching this, and you know what, hygienists and dental assistants
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
happen to watch this, there's no requirement you got to have a DR in front of your name, but the photos are really important, especially in something like dentistry today. So if you're thinking you want to do something like this, highly recommend get a decent camera. And it is a pain to have to really document the case well with good photos, but those go so far, especially in a format like dentistry today, where there's big pages and you can get big full color photos. I just wanted to throw that in, that
Yeah,
photo
no,
quality is important.
So when an author does send me something, I just ask for some thumbnails. What are you doing? And then I say, do you have the high res version of these things? That's
Yeah.
all. And yeah, we have special editors that take care of the photos, and we're not. Now this is interesting. We're not allowed to Photoshop an article other than cropping. We can't. When you lecture, you have to sign a thing that says these are original
Yeah.
clinical. You can't change the colors. You can't change anything
Yeah.
because you're showing true images. So I can't get photoshopped images in the magazine. AI. Oh God, let's not start this. But AI images that are created, you can't do that. And
No.
everybody has to sign disclaimers and swear on the Bible and all this other stuff. So that's some. Let's talk another time about AI, how that's impacting everything. That's a whole other world.
Oh yeah.
I talked to
And
Catherine Alderman not that long ago, and she's a charm and an expert in the AI space, as you saw. If you didn't watch that video, go back on John's site there and look for Catherine Alderman. That was a great interview, John. Really great.
she's really good. I think of AI as like a hammer or a tool. I mean, you can build things much faster with a hammer than if you have to try and put a nail into a board with a rock. But you can't do everything with it, and you certainly can't unethically hit people in the head with one either. And there's a time and place for things, and for writing and publishing it can be helpful, but you can't base writing and publishing on it. It's just not ethical.
And I'll just say, just as far as the magazine's concerned,
Yeah.
I say use it with caution. I don't mind if you're using AI to get some research information, if you will, trying to figure out what's the history of bonding or Maryland bridges or something like
Right.
that. That's fine. Reference it. By the way, some of the references you get from things like ChatGPT don't even exist.
Oh.
It makes up stuff sometimes, or it looks.
Yeah.
I don't know how to understand. We'll get an article with some references, and we go, this reference doesn't exist, and we have to go dig. We find it's some newspaper in Kansas City, whatever
That
it
went out
is.
of business 30 years ago that didn't have a good reputation then. And that's something else for people that are writing. If you cite references, doggone, make sure the references are right, because the publisher's going to check it. When you submit it to Dentistry Today, they're going to look at it. They don't just take your word for it, because their reputation is on the line too.
No, that's behind the scenes of getting a
Yeah.
clinical article, especially is validating the information. I mean, if it's photographed and documented, okay, but don't make statements. I'll usually think about Maryland bridges. Somebody sent me a thing and said, "Well, Maryland bridges aren't very successful," and you said you can't say that. So
Yeah.
I made her go back, and we both went back together. We actually used, I think we used Trust AI for this one, and went back in and went through and found all the clinical things about the longevity of Maryland bridges, single wing, double wing, things like that. And
Yeah.
we rewrote that whole section, and we found one good reference, threw that in. So that's my spare time. So it's not that I never heard of ChatGPT or Claude or any of those things. I use them, as Joe said. Those are my saws, my hammers, my drills, whatever.
Yeah.
But don't send me an article. When someone sends an article that's completely written by AI,
Yeah.
it's really obvious, and we can actually back check it and use AI to check the AI. It's pretty funny. We have some very interesting tools.
Well, it was funny not too long ago. I was just curious. So I used, because I've got, I put blog posts out Monday through
Yeah,
Thursday.
sure.
And I thought, just for fun, because I'd heard all these horror stories of people using it to write stuff, and I really hadn't tinkered with that aspect of it. So I literally said, write a 750 word blog post on, I don't even know what it was, like digital radiography or something, and do it use my voice.
Exactly.
And
Creepy, isn't it?
it was, yeah, it was not my voice. And it's
Oh,
just kind of funny
oh
that
no. See,
people will use that.
unfortunately, I've spent too much time on AI, so they all know. Oh, do you want it to be written in the Dentistry Today style or the Dr.
Yeah,
Paul style?
yeah. Well,
I'll give
and
you
I
one last. I have to give you a quick story before
yeah,
we
please, yeah,
get
because
off.
we're getting bumping up against the time anyway.
Yeah. So it's a little fast. So I wrote a column. I had to write a column. I forgot it was a very important column about something, and so I said, you know what? Let me see what ChatGPT would do with this thing.
Sure.
So I said, could you write this in whatever number of words in my voice?
All right.
And it was amazing. So
Really?
I mean, it spoke wrong like I do. So I freaked
It
out
took
my
out
wife.
all the R's.
So my wife's father is a very famous. He's passed, but he's a very famous professor, psychology professor from Yale University. We have in my house probably 60, 65 books that he's written. So I said, rewrite my column in the voice of my father-in-law, and it freaked her out completely because it was all his.
Really?
It was nuts. It was nuts.
That's wild. That's wild. But yeah, I guess if you feed them enough info, you know.
Wow, John.
Yeah. Well, this has been great, Paul. We're butting up against the hour.
You see,
Because we talked about, people being able to reach out to you. You've given your email address already. What's your Facebook handle?
it's just my name.
Okay. There you go.
Actually, I shouldn't say. I have two Facebook handles. One of them is Paul Feuerstein, DMD Dental Technology. And
Okay.
just slap me a little bit because I'm very poor at updating that one. So when something big happens, I shoot it from my regular Facebook page over to the dental technology. To be honest with you, my personal Facebook page is my personal Facebook page. So if you look at it, you go, what the heck? It has nothing
Lots
to do
of
with dentistry.
pictures of food.
Yeah, lots of pictures of food and things. We have a house in Bar Harbor, Maine, or as they say, Bar Harbor, Maine, and so a lot of pictures of lobsters and things like that. So,
Well, I think that one of the nice things, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse for you and I, but Feuerstein and Fluky are both pretty easy to put into a search engine, and you can find us without too much trouble.
oh, and then the magazine email address is pretty simple. Also, it's just Dr. Paul DRPAOL at dentistrytoday.com.
Cool.
So
All right.
for any quote business thing, that would be
Yeah.
a better address.
Okay. So reach out to him, everybody. If if you're looking to do this, if you've got a passion, Paul and I can't do this forever, and we're certainly both, trying to do what we can to find the next generation of folks to, to get the word out about the coolest stuff in the industry. So reach out to him, reach out to me. Thank you guys for watching. I am really grateful. I started this at this point. I've been at this about a year, and if the ghost of Christmas yet to come would have shown up to me last year and said, "This is what the podcast will be like 365 days from now," I would have never believed it. So I'm incredibly grateful for all of you that watch. Please check out Medidenta.com for all kinds of cool stuff. They sell the True Model Prime resin from Rodin that is setting the world on fire. That is an incredible formulation for printing models. But check them out. Patronize Medidenta.com. I'm going to beg you again for the algorithm. Likes, subscribes, and comments make a tremendous difference. And thank you all for spending the time with me. I'm Dr. John Fluky, Technology Evangelist. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, John.